Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سورة الفجر والفجر وليال عشر by Fajr and by the 10 nights or by 10 nights والشفع والوتر by the even and the odd والليل إذا يسر and by the night when it proceeds هل في ذلك قسم is there in that or indeed there is in that a qasam, an oath لذي حجر for the person of intellect. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد. Did you not see what Allah did with the people of Ad? Iram, the people of Iram or the capital Iram, ذات العماد, possessing great pillars. التي, those that which لم يخلق, have not been created, مثلها, the like of it, في البلاد, in the cities. وثمود الذين, and have not seen what Allah did with Thamud. الذين, that's what Thamud is in Nasb, because it comes from the previous one. وثمود الذين, and Thamud, those that جابوا, that carved out الصخرة, the large rocks, بالواد, in the valley. وفرعون ذي الأوتاد, and Fir'aun, the possessor of all the stakes. the pigs, the stakes. الذين, those that طغوا في البلاد, that transgressed in the lands. فأكثروا فيها الفساد, and they made abundant in it corruption. What was the consequence? فَصَبَّ عَلَيْهِمْ رَبُّكَ سَوْطَ عَذَابٍ, then Allah poured upon them the whip or the punishment, the whip of punishment. إِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَبِالْمِرْصَادِ, verily your Lord is bil-mirsad, is ever watching, is lying in wait for them, meaning what? The consequence will come. Did we end there, right? No. فَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانُ, when you see an fa, what type of harf is fa? Did you already? We did it? Okay. So when Allah is saying fa, Allah, fa is a letter of sequences, but also it's a letter of conjunction, meaning what is going to carry on from previous discussion. So in the previous discussion, Allah spoke about people who rebel against Allah and rebel against His messengers. Now Allah says, فَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانُ, when Allah is using al-insanu, Allah doesn't mean every human being. Allah means the majority of human beings who rebel against Allah. Meaning because they are the majority at the time of this revelation. Because Islam is small in Makki phase, and they'll also be the majority in almost all the times. He said most times people are going to rebel against the message. So al-insanu, yeah, it doesn't mean all, even those ismul jins. Do you remember what jins mean? The group. But ismul jins for taghlib. Taghlib means because the majority of people have this attitude, Allah is using al-insan to speak to that majority. What the majority of people do? إِذَا مَبْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ, when their Lord ibtalahu means what? Test them. فَأَكْرَمَهُ, Allah tests them through what? To being generous towards them and giving them honor in the eyes of people. وَنَعَّمَهُ, and Allah gives them a good life, a comfortable life filled with wealth and possessions and worldly comforts. فَيَقُولُ, then they say, رَبِّي أَكْرَمَنِ. They say, don't say أَكْرَمَنِي رَبِّي. They say, رَبِّي أَكْرَمَنِ. أَكْرَمَنِي. Normally you put the Rabbi at the end. But they want to emphasize, my Lord, أَكْرَمَنِي, has honored me. What's wrong with that statement? But the long discussion about it, and it is, but this discussion for me, like, it's so important because it's basically where we're at, where material wealth is getting exalted, and the delusion of those that are on material wealth is they think that it is a sign that Allah has blessed them and Allah has favored them. They don't understand it is. Allah didn't say, what did Allah say first? Ibtalahu. It's a test. It's not some indication that Allah loves you and Allah, you like use more special than the poor person. It is a test. Yeah, it's a non-necessary correlation. Meaning what, when you have been gifted by Allah by material wealth, it is not correlated to whether Allah is pleased with you or not. You know what I mean? And they are saying it's correlated, and they're saying it's definitely correlated because they put Rabbi first. Rabbi akramani. My Lord, He loves me, He's favored me more than other people. If you read the Quran and you read the wa instead of the fa, does change the meaning. Yes, so basically a fa is also what we call tafri'. Wa means and, but a fa is for tafri'. Tafri' means far'un, like means a branch. Meaning what? When you have a discussion and you put a fa there, it means like a consequent of that discussion. Whereas a wa is a simple conjunction, this and this. But the fa is stemming off that discussion. Here's another discussion. Stemming off the discussion of people who rebelled against Allah Ta'ala previously, here's a discussion about the attitudes. So the difference is that the fa is what we call tafri'. Not always tafri', but here's tafri'. Tafri' means it is stemming off this discussion. That's why the fa is there to connect it as a logical like flow of the discussion. Whereas wa is simply conjunction. This and this. Now, brothers, okay there? وَأَمَّا, and as for إِذَا مَبْتَلَاهُ, when He tests them. So Allah left out the Rabbiya. Allah left out the Rabbiya. Because the first Allah says, إِبْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ. Yeah, He left out the Rabb. And when He tests them, فَقَدَرَ عَلَيْهِ. Then qadara means to count something or to restrict something. He restricts upon them rizqahu, His wealth. The ha of rizqahu can go back to Allah or to the person. Meaning what, Allah's wealth or that person's wealth. The meaning is essentially the same. فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي. Then this person says, my Lord, ahanani. Hoon is like to be low, to be like disgraced. Ahanani, my Lord has disgraced me, has put me in a place of little honor. Allah's response to that is kalla. Kalla means what? Negation. Absolutely not. Kalla. These two verses is the disease of our society today. These two verses are the disease of our society today. Meaning what? The fact that people measure themselves by wealth and they measure others by wealth is exactly the disease of our society, and that's why people want wealth. People do not want wealth because they don't have enough to eat. Most people that you know have never gone hungry day in their life. Most people you know. So why do the children want wealth? Not because they have any real fear of starvation, or any real fear of not having a house, or any real fear of not being clothed. Simply because, when I say obviously I want wealth, I'm not talking about normal people who want wealth to look after their family and stuff. I'm talking about people who aspire purely for wealth. Purely for wealth, it is because of this sentiment. And what is worse is that, because obviously when it comes to wealth, it's a nuanced discussion. Let's say, first of all, if you're especially a man, you have to work and provide for your family. Even if you must go sweep the streets, you must do what you have to do. Okay, so that's we understand that, right? However, if you have a choice of career, don't make wealth the only measure. Meaning what? Many careers can bring you wealth. Many careers can bring you wealth. Don't just choose one because that's going to make you the most wealthy. Rather choose one that you feel inclined towards, passionate about, that's a good service to humanity. You know, like try to find something which you can also do as well. But anyway, I don't know that discussion. The point I have to make is that these two verses are at the heart of our social problems. And we must counter them at every stage. At every stage, we must counter them. To such an extent, where whether the person is a beggar or whether they're a billionaire, in your heart, you feel no difference in status. In fact, in your heart, you feel more pity for the billionaire. Why do you feel more pity for the billionaire? That's a very, very big test Allah has given you there. That's a very, very big test, and you actually feel more pity for them. And when you see them being arrogant, you feel even more pity for them. In your heart, if you feel that, then your heart's in the right space. And therefore, is abasa wa tawalla is important. Allah, like this message is so emphasized in the Quran. It's like unbelievable. Like this message here is like, and one of the heart, the core of Quran is don't. The dunya means nothing to Allah, so Allah will destroy it. If it meant so much, why Allah is going to destroy all of it? It's coming. It means nothing to Allah really. So just be careful of this, and it's really anyway. Sometimes it's just like in social culture, this becomes like wealth is like flaunted by celebrities and on movies and series, and that flaunting is like brainwashing our people, and especially young people. That flaunting of wealth and that, you know, that ostentation and that showing off and that like just like to be honest, I feel a bit nauseating when I see brands. Like I feel a bit like inwardly I feel nauseous. Like if someone's going to wear a cap and say Gucci there or whatever, I'm like, who is this person that you are elevating and you are spending your hard-earned wealth on? And you're not spending your wealth because you need the cap. You're spending it because of the label on it. Like if you're truly honest, you're only spending whatever, let's say 10,000 rand on the cap, 20,000 on the shoes. You're only spending it because there's a label on it. Not because you need shoes to cover yourself. You're only doing it for that. Like, how could you do that? Because like, you don't need it, number one. You're not buying it for the quality. You are simply buying for ostentation. And you're buying for ostentation in a world where there is such desperate needs. You understand? I'm not talking about normal clothing, quality clothing, that's fine, it's all fine. I'm talking about this whole brand culture, where people will pay a multiple of 1,000 times what it actually costs to make that thing. It's still made in a factory in China. Maybe slightly better material, but it's still a factory in China. But it's multiplied by 100 times now because it has whose name on? Some Azim person's name. No, read the history of these people. Look at their lives. Go Google their photos and see what they look like. Half of these people like Shayateen. Half of these people in the fashion industry are like Shayateen. They're promoting everything that Allah dislikes. And now you as a Muslim are going to take all your hard-earned money just because of that label. Like I find that really sickly. Really. It's different. Maybe you want to, you want to buy a good brand, you want to be like a jogger, you buy a nice pair of whatever, Asics or Salomon, because you're doing for a purpose. You're not doing for ostentation. But we live in this world of just ostentation and this Gucci bag and this thing. Like, have you lost your mind? Have you not read the Quran? Have you not read the Quran? Have you not read the Seerah of our Habib, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? What do you think the Prophet is going to say about this? Like, are you so far disconnected? Like, I find it like, it disturbs me actually, that this amount of delusion can take place amongst in the heart of a believer. It's utterly disturbing. This is the remedy. Read the words of Allah. connect yourself to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Allah will fix you. This is tazkiyah. Naam. Naam. وَأَهْدِيَكَ إِلَى رَبِّكَ. How does Fir'aun go? فَتَخْشَى. Now before that, اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى هل لك إلى أن تزكى. Do you want to come and I'll give some tazkiyah to you? Even Fir'aun can find tazkiyah if he comes to the Quran. Even Fir'aun. That's why didn't Nabi Musa go to him? There was no point. There was a point. Even the Fir'aun of this world can find tazkiyah. But come to where? Come to the prophetic way. There's tazkiyah. So, like in your family, speak out against it. Like if you're the last, you speak, even if you're irritated, like especially amongst the young children, you must teach them because they will lose their whole life to buy a brand. And then they will feel good and proud about it. And it's purely nafs. You see, the thing is not that they're going to buy this brand. This way, okay, there's ocean. This is the one you buy from the garage. This is one anyway. It keeps us around. So now that they buy this brand, it's not the fact that they're buying this brand that they're feeling good. It's the fact that they're going to put it on and people are going to see it and comment, and they're going to take a selfie and people are going to comment, and people are going to elevate their own nafs, and that's why they bought it. They didn't buy it because they wanted to own it or because they wanted to use it. They bought it for the reaction of people. They bought it because they wanted people to praise them and, you know, you're wearing this and, you know, it's a sickness. It's a sickness. No. So these verses are maybe like small, but these verses are like the key to everything. Allah mentions the nation who is gone lost, and Allah mentions what? The attitude as well. That's why they're saying the fa is important there, because Allah is telling you that people will go lost. This is what the attitude is. This is there. They have a materialistic yardstick for their own lives and for society. Muslims have a taqwa yardstick. No. Allah, that's all it says, kalla. Absolutely not. What rather? Bal la tukrimun al-yatim. Bal rather instead, what's wrong with you? You're elevating wealth. La tukrimun al-yatim. You don't even make ikram, you don't even honor, you don't even provide, you don't even support the orphan. This is how Muslim, the Muslim thinks, I have something, I'm going to help someone else. This is how a true believer thinks. Allah thinks you're so distant, you have so much wealth, you don't even think about the yatim. Yatim is someone who what? Doesn't have a father. Or doesn't have a father and mother. The yatim, to be honest, if especially like with single parents, obviously if the father's alive, the father must provide. But if a father dies, that actually becomes a communal obligation. We should actually look after that yatim. You know, we should try to support them. Allah is calling you support the yatim. He's not saying the yatim in your family. He's saying the yatim, the orphans of society. Support them. And many times they have a mother looking after them, but we must still support them. Because the yatim, they don't have a father. Obviously until they baligh, after they become adults. وَلَا تَحَاضُّونَ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. وَلَا and not تَحَاضُّونَ. تَحَاضُّونَ means to encourage. So let alone you doing it yourself, you're not doing it. You're not even encourage other people to do it. So what do people of wealth do when it comes to food? Another complete ostentation. Another complete ostentation. Meaning what? You go eat at a place to be seen there, to take a photo of the food, to say, I went there, you must go there. Alhamdulillah, Cape Town is still a bit low-key. But go to some other Western countries, it's crazy. I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but I watched a few minutes of the Dubai Bling series. Sometimes I like watch it just to be honest, like I watch these things to understand society sometimes. I watch these things to understand society because that is trajectory-wise where society is going. What's being portrayed in the media is where society is going and what messages are coming to you. Don't watch it, it's not good for you. But it's like nauseating to the next level. It's like sickening to it because they're like, let's call it Dubai Muslims. Yeah, most of them are Muslims. They have Muslim names. Even some of their surnames, I'm like, yo, your surname is Siddiqui. Abu Bakr Siddiq, it's same as Muhammad. It's like for me, like your son is Siddiq, your son is Muhammad. Like, where's your honor? You know, you're from the Siddiq, like, where's your honor? Even like food is like ostentation. Allah is saying you have all this ostentation in food. لا تحاضون. You don't even want to encourage other people. على طعام المسكين. Ta'am can mean two things, can mean the actual food or can mean it'am, the feeding. Both are including that. The food of the poor or the feeding of al-miskin. Miskin are those who are stuck in poverty, those who can't help themselves. The next verse. وَتَأْكُلُونَ التُّرَاثَ أَكْلًا لَمًّا. Like upon the action of it, I don't know. No. وَتَأْكُلُونَ. And you. So you don't do those two things. Meaning what? You have no worry about the poor. You don't worry about the orphans. You don't even encourage people to feed. But what do you do instead? وَتَأْكُلُونَ. And you consume. التُّرَاثَ. Turath is inheritance. But yet is when you unjustly consume inheritance. Meaning what? You have someone in your care, then you inherit a lot of money, and you usurp the inheritance. You use all of their, you use someone else's wealth. Aklan, a consumption. Lamma is like jam'a, complete. You completely consume someone else's wealth unjustly. Do wealthy people do this? Wealthy people are amongst the most corrupt in society. Wealthy people are amongst the most corrupt in society because they can get away with it. Get away with it. That's why we have Steinhoff and we have EOH now. We have all our big companies now. We have also McKinsey also. All these big companies with billions and billions and billions, they would consume wealth unjustly. Don't think it's only government officials. In big business, these guys are busy with fraud, they're busy with corruption, they're busy with all of these things. Don't think like because you're a white man in a suit now you're virtuous. They don't let racism come into our minds. Those people are as corrupt, even worse, in exploitation, in bribery, in all of these fields. Why if you're wealthy do this? It's a disease. It's a disease. It's an utter disease of the heart. Because like maybe if someone is poor, you can say, okay, now he's poor, he has to provide for himself. But when you're a multi-millionaire, do you need another 3 millions? No, it's a disease. If you have billions, you need more billions? No, it's a disease. Why? Because you're trying to have the yardstick of I have more than you, and therefore I'm going to assert my authority over you. And it's a disease. Yeah. So in this case, it's unfair. In fact, what happens is that I was reading the tafsir, they say that this usage of eating inheritance was never used before the Quran. Meaning what? The Quran sometimes uses existing Arabic words in a way that was never used before the Quran. Meaning what? You won't find this kind of expression in poetry where you eat akala, you eat wealth. But the idea here is that you actually hear it amongst the society now. I was actually doing some government training now recently in Joburg. The common thing is like, we also need to eat. We need to eat. Yeah, that's almost like a euphemism for corruption. Like, oh, we are very hungry. No, it's our turn to eat. So it's interesting that the Quran actually was the, let's call it in the Arab world, the inventor of that. And yeah, but that's not like corruption. That's just more. That's more just investment profiles. And you. So in other words, here so basically, what happens if you take care of an orphan, if you are able to provide comfortably for the orphan without taking their wealth, you should do it from yourself. However, if you can't, you can use a portion of their wealth for their own maintenance, but you must be very clear with it. You with me? So what I'm saying is that there is a fiqh around it. When you want to take care of an orphan and you can't afford to look after them and they have wealth, you can use some of their wealth for the tuition and all of those things, but you must be very fair with it. But if you can, then rather refrain. No, you must go there. Well, you can invest it, yes, you must grow it, you mustn't let it, because they must pay zakah, so you mustn't let the wealth be eaten by zakah as well.
The previous two which discuss feeding the work
and
encouraging the feeding, just like you are eating.
Yes. The theme is starting because of the opposite thing. Instead of giving, you want to take unjustly. وَتُحِبُّونَ, we'll end this inshallah. وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا. Allah is giving you the essence of the problem. And you love, and mudari, continuously, all these mudari here. Why? You continuously do this. You continuously to love al-mal, wealth, hubban, with a love. What's it? Maf'ul mutlaq. What type of love? Naw'un, sifa, jamma. Jamma means like kathir. I was reading, like, for example, if you say, I think it's jamma al-ma. I have expression, let me just have this. This is here. Jamma al-ma'u fil hawd. Jamma al-ma'u fil hawd means that in the water has filled like a hawd, the pond. So basically, jamma is the idea of like an immense amount. So you love like an amount that fills you. And you love wealth with a love that fills you completely. Allah then ends, Allah says, Kalla. Again, next verse. That kalla is the previous verse. Kalla, absolutely not. It's not the way to go. So Muslims, we have a healthy relationship to wealth, alhamdulillah. It's fine to have wealth, it's fine to be comfortable, it's fine to provide for your family. Don't let wealth consume your heart and your ambitions and your mind. But you're earning well, alhamdulillah, it's a blessing of Allah Ta'ala. You can live a comfortable life, you don't have to give all your wealth, but help what you can. And also live a simple life. Live a simple life. And Allah bless some people with more, alhamdulillah, and some of the less, alhamdulillah. Try not to, I know it's hard, but try not to have too much anxiety about wealth. Meaning what? You must work hard, because you must work hard. But try not to have too much anxiety. Have trust in Allah. Meaning what? Ya Allah, I'm really struggling, I'm short, I have a lot of debts. I'm going to work hard. Help me, Ya Allah. And just like entrust to Allah, but you have to work hard. The Prophet used to love people to work hard. Many hadith about working hard. So our attitude towards wealth, sometimes don't work. You work hard, you must go chop firewood, you must go plant trees, you must do whatever you want to do. But there's not this over attachment. This over attachment that we have. What you can do, if you can Google the Gini coefficient, and you can see where South Africa ranks. The Gini coefficient. The Gini coefficient measures the gap between rich and poor. It's measured on a scale from 0 to 1. Top of the list, the most unequal quality in the whole world is Africa. More than any other country, Africa, Asia, the most unequal country in the whole world is South Africa. I think about just over 2,000 people in South Africa control about 80% of the world. 2,000 out of like 60 million people, 2,000 control over 80% of all the wealth in South Africa. Over 80%. And it's not only South Africa, like internationally, it's the same madness. Barakallah, we ended quite late there. May Allah bless and protect. Good to be back, alhamdulillah. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.